right, 7 o'clock on the dot. I'm going to call the East Lyme Inland Wetlands Agency meeting of May 7th, 2024 to order. We're going to start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so since we have a new alternate today, John Vilchek, would you like to join us up here today?
Thank you.
And then we have Phyllis Berger, Greg McIntyre, I'm Kristen Chantrell, and Doug Finminster.
Hey.
Gary Gashel, our Inland Wetlands Agency agent, and Sue Spang, our recording secretary. So first we're going to start with public delegations. Public delegations is the time when members of the public are invited to speak to the commission about certain matters, issues or concerns related to approved wetland permits and in-house proposals or general topics of discussion are open to comment. Agenda items. Okay, we'll just comment. Do I have anyone here from public delegation?
Hi, my name is Don Danilla, D-A-N-I-L-A, 24 Patagonia Drive, East Lyme. On Wednesday, April 24th, I was out on Patagonia Lake for the first time this year on my small boat, and I saw a particularly what I thought was egregious development along the lake shore on Upper Patagonia Drive. I emailed my concerns with a couple pictures to Gary Gashel, the Inland Wetlands agent, and basically what it was is the eastern shoreline north of the Whitegate Farm and south of the Girl Scout property along Upper Patagonia Drive. A large stretch of the lake shoreline was completely denuded of all vegetation, including trees, and all smaller shrubs and smaller plants, so it was almost completely bare. It's a sloping area towards a lake, which would seem to be subject to erosion. Serves no ecological purpose as it was destroyed. I did not see any silt fences along the lake or anything that would stop any erosion. So again, I took some pictures. I asked Gary if this tree and vegetation clearing had been approved by the Inland Wetlands Agency. I thought it was a horrible action. It should not have been permitted. Subsequently, on the 26th of April, I received an email from Ms. Chantrell, the chair of this agency, thanking me for notifying the wetlands agent regarding the clear cutting. She saw the photographs. I was told that the Inland Wetlands Commission did not see this application, and we will be discussing this during our next meeting. So I was very thankful to hear that. However, I did look at the agenda for this particular meeting, which is the next meeting. I did not see anything on it regarding Upper Patagonia Road property, so I decided to come here and speak under public delegations. Again, I was out again today on my boat. I took another closer look at it. It was pretty windy the first time I was out there. I couldn't get close to shore. Again, it looks like there was some sort of fencing. I'm not an expert in this, but it looks like some sort of bags that were together, but it's along the highway, so there's nothing between it and the lake. There were a few small plants sticking up now, perhaps from sprouting from roots that were left or maybe seeds. I mean, I have no idea why this was done, whether it was done out of ignorance or if it was done willfully with the thought that the expectation that they were not going to be held accountable for this. I don't think this sort of thing should be permitted. Now, no man or commission in this town can be expected to oversee everything that happens. There's a lot of things going on. There's a lot of construction. There's a lot of home building. There's a lot of alterations going on. I think, though, by working together with other commissions and town members, and by the way, I am also a member of the Conservation Commission as well as on the Board of Directors of Patagonia Lake Association. So I think working with people that are trying to preserve and protect the environment, we can ensure that our environment will not become degraded due to improper actions by some of our citizenry, and that's all I have to say.
I appreciate you coming today and bringing this to our attention. Gary, are you looking at photos? Because I would like to address this.
No, but
Do you have,
I can address it. You want to address it now? I think it would be far more convenient.
okay,
I did print off one photo of the two that I sent you, so if you want it.
okay.
And I
Okay,
can-
so we'll discuss this under enforcement.
I can provide this to the
Yes,
recording
please.
secretary if you want.
Yes. Okay, so the next on the agenda, we're,
Kristen,
yes.
can I just saw something in the paperwork that Mr. Gaishel handed me. It was a letter, I don't know if this goes into correspondence, saying that it wanted to be read at least a public delegation, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, they wanted it read at public delegations because there was a matter on the agenda dealing with that specifically.
Okay.
I advised them I could not read it into the record, but I could hand it out.
Okay, got it. All right, I just saw it, that's all.
That being said, the item Mohawk Drive, which was on the agenda, is not going to be discussed tonight because the individual was outbid, so we don't have interest in the product.
So you can't do downtown. So
Which one was that?
maybe it's good.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah, I saw that. Okay.
This guy was writing about the Mohawk thing, but the Mohawk thing's not happening.
Okay. So we want to, do we need to make a motion to add to the,
So I was looking at on our agenda, the additions to the agenda is not on this agenda. Why it's fallen off, I'm not sure, but I will hopefully correct that at our next meeting. That being said, I would respectfully request the agency consider passing a motion to add additions to the agenda, and then make a motion to add 132 North Broadwood Road to business as a request for a permit extension.
okay. So do I hear a motion to,
Sure, I'll move that we make additions to the agenda and to add the North Brybrook consideration in the new business.
Give two separate motions.
Oh.
One, get to add the additions to the agenda first, which needs a 2/3 vote.
Okay.
in order
Okay, so I move that we do additions to the agenda.
Do we need a second for that?
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's all, okay?
And then we need another motion.
132.
To add to new business,
Yeah,
the Brydebrook
extension.
extension request.
go ahead, Tom. You do.
I make a motion to add to the minutes the addition of the agenda, 132 North Brydebrook Road.
I'll second.
All
Thanks.
those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay. So then we'll discuss that under new business. Okay, so moving on, no public hearing today. So we have quite a few acceptance of minutes. First one is the show cause hearing, 14 Park Lane, meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2024. Do I hear a motion? Can I approve them all as a bunch, or do I have to do them individually?
How would you like to do that?
Individually? Okay.
Individually.
Just in case there's,
Minutes.
just a one and.
Oh, yeah.
Changes.
Got it, yep, makes sense, okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the show cause hearing
I'll
on
make that.
April 2nd?
I'll make that motion to show cause hearing, approve the minutes for the 14 Park Lane, April 2nd, 2024.
No,
Do I-
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
I will abstain.
Okay.
Can I get your name again?
John Vilchek,
Spell that last?
Vilchek.
Yep.
Okay,
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so next under acceptance of minutes is the show cause hearing, Sound and Cove Land LLC meeting minutes from April 2nd, 2024. Do I hear a motion to approve those?
Make a motion, accept the show cause hearing, Sounding Cove Lane LLC minutes for April 2nd, 2024.
Do I hear a second?
Phil seconds.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Abstain?
Abstain.
Phil seconded that one.
All right, third time's a charm. Regular meeting minutes of April 2nd, 2024, regular meeting. Do I
Oh
hear-
my God, I have so many problems. I move that we approve the regular meeting minutes from April 2nd.
And I'll second.
All those in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay. All right, ex officio report. Ann?
Hi, good evening. Ann Chicello, ex officio from the Board of Selectmen. Three different things to discuss tonight, actually four. First is, I don't know if this is too loud. There is an annual meeting on the budget on May 13th, and then the referendum will be forwarded to referendum, which is May 23rd. It's going to be held at the referendum will be at the community center on May 23rd from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The meeting for the annual town meeting will be at East Lyme High School at 7 o'clock in the auditorium. So anybody can go and voice their opinion and then vote on May 23rd.
That's the meeting on the 13th, is in the high school auditorium?
Yes, it's 7 o'clock. Okay, so I also, at our most recent Board of Selectmen hearing meeting, we had a presentation from the Department of Finance proposing a capital improvement committee. And I thought it was a really good idea, because what they'll do is, when we go to the budget, there's all these different departments who want, capital improvement projects, anything that's going to be bonded. And this way, there'll be a committee, and they'll review all the projects in town, and then have a schedule in place to go forward with them and how to pay for them and everything like that. So I thought that was really encouraging and a good idea. I also was ex officio for Mrs. Hardy for zoning the other night, and they presented a conceptual plan for 200 Pennsylvania Avenue, which is also known as a Trachis property. So this was just a conceptual plan. It's going to be for 55 or older complex. I think they're having, they said, 144 condominiums in 6 buildings. And what it would be, then people would be next to move into like assisted living, which would be 120 beds. And then they'd have a memory care center there with 30 beds. They would be developing about 19 acres out of 38 acres, 360 parking spaces, and each building would be connected by a covered walkway. So they would also have their own ambulances that would bring, patients if need be to, I guess, the hospital. So they wouldn't be using the town ambulances. So this was a conceptual plan that was presented to zoning, and the zoning then gave their opinion. And their issues, just so you guys know, was traffic, because there was only one way of entering and exiting this whole complex, and the height of the buildings were also I think it's 4 feet high, not 4 feet, 4 stories high, and it's next to Dodge Pond. So those were the concerns of the zoning commissioners. The entire room was packed with people listening. So I think people in the public are interested. So I just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up about that, because it will come before you eventually.
So this is one of those, again, that they're filling out zoning?
Yes, it was just a conceptual plan.
Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
But I just want to kind of give you guys a heads up. Let's see. Oh, the other thing is, I guess I just had a question for Mr. Gaishel. I had a resident approach me about Holmes Road and said there was some work being done up there, and I didn't know if you had any answers for that.
So on Holmes Road, there was part of the 305 acre plus or minus open space conveyance that previous owners were conveyed to the land trust. That roughly 24 acres remained that were lots that came out of that were developable. 12 acres on the corner of Upper Walnut Hill and Holmes Road, and the other 12 acres was just fronted on Holmes Road further to the east. lots here, and fourth in the back, four lots along the road, and then it's one in the back, with 5 lots approved on that 12 acres on the corner. This is the other parcel, pictures that you had shown me, I believe, are from this piece here, across from these residences. There's no wetlands within 300 feet of this piece, so I don't have any wetland jurisdiction on this. This was the parcel that was subject to the affordable housing development and zoning a few months back. My understanding that was denied litigation. That said, I do believe they started doing some clearing up there to do site, I guess, testing, septic investigation, should they not get their approvals or want to redesign, whatever. That was the answer we got from the
And it's okay to do that clearing then?
They could clear the entire lot, it's privately held property.
Nothing, okay, because there's no wetlands.
It's 12 acres, so I believe they, if they cleared over 5 acres, the zoning would then have ample jurisdiction to require a zoning permit for the ENS controls over 5 acres under statute. But there's no specific erosion and sedimentation control issue out there, at least out onto the road anyway, based on my observations, but I visited the site. I know the town engineer has been out there as well as his assistant, so they've looked at this area, particularly because the neighbor across the street was called and complained about flooding in their front yard, which was, I guess, a recent development since the clearing had begun. What the town engineer discovered is that there's no curbing, and I guess the water was sheet flowing down Holmes Road and into this person's front yard. So the solution, but I think what's happened is just that over time is that the land has gotten compressed and settled. So what used to provide a bit of a curve, natural curve, earth curve, is no longer there. And so the solution here is to install curbing. It's the only section of road, ironically, that has no curbing in this area. So they were kind of like, that's, so I think Public Works will resolve that issue, at least for that one specific homeowner there, that's going to resolve to keep the water in the road into a street drainage system. So that's all I can really.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Not a question, but just some comments. Well, a question actually for Gary.
Yeah.
I would say in addition to your comments about the zoning commission meeting, it was notable that Ms. Jed Harris was reinstated to the commission.
Yes, there was a vacancy, and she was reinstated to the commission.
It seems to be a revolving door in that commission. You know, you can drop off and get right back on.
Well, I'm hoping that at this point that the zoning commission will be more stabilized and, you know, because they have a lot of work to do on that commission.
Certainly not less
important issues.
Certainly not less controversial. However, the project on Dodge Pond, the big project, during their presentation they suggested that there was a dam that was between Little Dodge Pond and Big Dodge Pond, which had degraded or deteriorated or gone away, and they were proposing putting it back in place because Little Dodge Pond is really nothing more than a swamp at this point, or a marshy area. And so they wanted to put the dam back in, and they had been talking to DEEP about that, DEP. My question is, I don't know if they think this or if it's true, because they're dealing with DEEP about this former dam, do they think they don't have to come to the Inland Wetlands Agency for permitting after that?
Whatever.
I thought they mentioned at the hearing, were you at the hearing? I thought you were. They mentioned there was some other wetlands on the property also, I thought.
Yeah, but I think those were part of the 38 acres that they're not developing up in the back, and that's why, because there is a creek that flows, you know, into Little Dodge Pond and into Big Dodge Pond, and they were giving that pretty wide berth. But I got the impression that they kind of felt like because they were already talking to DEP, they didn't really need to talk to us.
So pursuant to section 4 of the regulations, permit use as of right, we have a section in there now that reads that construction and operation by water. Again, it would have to be a water company. So I don't think there's any water company in this, so it wouldn't apply, so I believe it's an exempt activity. So if there was a water company involved, then potentially the dam and the reservoir and other facilities necessary for the impounding, storage, and withdrawal of water would be exempt. So aside from that, we have to come to this commission.
Okay, because I know they were talking, so at that point where it looks like there was a dam between two sections of Dodge Pond, I know that they were talking about building a bridge over that so that people could walk into town from this development. So there are a number of, aside from the development itself.
This is the current area from 2016.
Right.
There's flow between the two.
Mm-hmm. So they want to put a footbridge over that at least to allow people, maybe even for a golf cart, I don't know. But so there were aside from the development itself, which I think, if I remember correctly, was stated to be within 50 feet of the pond. But I'd have to go back and look at the presentation again at the minutes. But I think there's a number of things there that we should hear.
Yeah, this was just a conceptual plan to zoning, just to see, I think, what they were thinking.
Right.
And then I think they're gonna maybe go back and try to maybe make some changes if they, take them seriously.
I would certainly think they can come to this commission as well, preliminarily, on the same statutory.
Yeah, there's potential concerns here.
Speak to wetlands as well if they have questions. They don't have to, there's no obligation to
Mhm.
so.
Have they reached out to you?
Not as of yet, I haven't spoken to anyone regarding that project.
That's the first time I saw that.
Just a point of discussion. What we're looking at here is, I see large Dodge Pond, and the smaller area that we're talking about where the potential in the future bridge might go, I've always referred to as Little Dodge. Okay? However, from the hearings in the zoning board that I've attended, they refer to that as the Meadows. And Little Dodge was referred to as a potential pond that they want to restore with the dam
Right.
for water at a 4-foot level that was, let's say, as I'm looking at this chart, upwards and to the left of Dodge Pond. So if you took your cursor, right, go up north, if you will, no, just into the property, right there.
Yeah, right.
Stop where you were originally. Someplace in that area, and as I look at it, when I go up on the heights, I look down and there's a large valley. And I think that's where the dam and Little Dodge that they're referring to is.
Yeah, I
So my
agree.
point
I
might
agree.
be that we're talking within 300 feet of waterways for 5-story apartments, other buildings. If this pond is restored, it's still part of the waterway. So it still kind of, I believe, falls within the purview of this board.
I was just afraid that because they had mentioned deep, and they think there's a possibility that they're thinking that because we're already talking to deep, we don't really need to talk to the Inland Wetlands Agency. And personally, I think that's absolutely wrong. But
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Typically, you would apply to the local authority first, and then apply for your state permits thereafter. Certain why they haven't approached this agency, so eventually they will have to.
Well, and we have
It's
the
surrounded by wetlands.
we have the same issue over at I forget the address. It's up behind Tri-Town, up on the hill there. They want to put 55 units.
91 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, people are conceiving in front of the zoning commission, but nobody's touching base with us.
It's because they're scared.
It's scary. No. All right.
We mean business.
Any other questions for me?
No, thank you, man.
Okay, great.
All right, so we're going to move to new business. First, under new business is the request for a 5-year extension of time on an inland wetland permit number 19-13, 132 North
This is in
Bribrook
addition
Road,
to the.
tax assessors map 14.0, lot 75, Brian McPartlin, applicant owner, repair and construction of landscape retaining wall down to the bank level.
It's not on that.
That's what,
We don't have it.
I
She's-
Oh, I
received
see,
today,
Got it. So she's got
email correspondence from Kathy McPartlin, Brian, requesting extension on the permit, specifically as it expires next month, and as of the last rain event, a portion of their retaining wall failed and collapsed into the road. So he would like to repair that as quickly as possible for the approved plan. So I just wanted to follow the approved plan. I don't think there's any issue. I am concerned though that it failed. So what does that mean in the future? So I think I may have speak with Alex Close, the town engineer, have him take a look at the plans, and maybe if he has any recommendations with modifications needed or anything like that, I can certainly approach Brian and suggest that they implement those. They're significantly different than what we've approved, obviously we come back. I think the next step is just to have Alex take a look at what we've approved and see if his opinion is still the same.
It sounds like there's some hydrological issue going on in the middle of that wall for the middle to fall down like that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly you can drive by and it's visible from the road, on the roadside. So I'm really not sure what would cause that scenario. As a portion of the wall adjacent to the head wall on the bridge was still intact, and a portion of the wall where it ended was still intact. Those were the two areas I thought, if any scouring or was going to have a bank or undermining, that's where it would occur primarily, but the center of the wall, so we'll take a look at that. But in the meantime, they have requested an extension. It is for 5 years. I don't know that they need the full 5.
Yeah, can I ask why it's a 5-year time period for a retaining wall?
It's what's permissible under the statute. You can request up to 5 years. You can grant a year.
So they came for a permit and they said, hey, it may take us 5 years to build this wall.
They finished the wall was built.
That's it,
Probably
right.
in 6 months, but the permit would be valid 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, that's why I'm just wondering why that such a
So-
large length of time.
So you
It's just how the permits work.
the initial permit was issued, and that's how that or unless you put a time on it specifically, if you approve it with a caveat that certain work has to be done by a certain time.
Well, that's what I'm wondering, because if there's a permit and they say we want to build a retaining wall and you say yes, it's approved, you have the right to build it.
I don't have to put a shovel in the ground until a year.
Okay, so the rule is that you have to build it within 5 years.
The permit is initially valid.
Okay, so he built this wall like 4 years ago. It's running out on this time and it fell.
It just so happened that
Ah,
it failed.
okay.
Last week.
Okay,
So
that's strange timing.
2 weeks ago, I drove by on my phone. The heavy rain that's been happening, it's like 3 weeks ago.
So my concern would be that, let's say we say, okay, fine, you get 5 more years, and they go ahead and rebuild the wall, and 9 months from now it collapses again. You know, that would, the 5 years would in essence give them the permission to go ahead and rebuild it again, and they could do this 10 times before the next 5 years is up. I would say if it falls in again, you know, they really need somebody else to come in and take a look at this and say what's going on.
Are they doing it themselves?
No, they're hiring a contractor.
So they have a structural engineer to look at it?
I don't know if
Can
they
you do it?
I don't think they're having a structural engineer look at this go around. I think they have the plans that we approved. I think when we approved them, I believe we referred it to our town engineer for review. I don't know, I have to go back to the file and see if he had any specific comments. That he said, I'm going to reach out to Alex and have a discussion with him. And if it warrants then hiring a structural engineer based on his recommendations, then that's what we're going to do. And move forward from there.
And so you were saying though, with this wall, it is preventing water from
It's
flooding.
preventing the wall, the front slope of his yard from washing into the road. Something else that you can look at.
his own, and then he had to come in and get approval? And you said this is on North Bridebrook?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it may have started out as a violation.
Yeah. So what if we just gave him a year?
Yeah, because obviously he
Yeah.
needs to fix it right away. We don't want
Yeah.
damage to the river or stream, whatever's there, so.
So after a year,
Yeah.
if the work was not completed within a year, he had to come back and reapply.
Or if it
Certainly
falls, yeah.
Could be advantageous to
Mhm.
say, hey, you need to do more work if it fails again.
Yeah,
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 express
my-
our concern that there's a bigger issue going on, so instead of pushing that down the road, we'll give you a year extension. I think that sounds good.
Okay.
I can make a motion that we approve the extension for a year. We can even add a caveat that any major deviation from the approved plan needs to come back to the commission for a new approval.
And what's the address on there?
132 North Broadway.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody? Okay. All right, so then next is pending applications. We have 50 Gurley Road, James Bernardo, the applicant, Douglas Hoagland, the owner. Application to construct a single-family dwelling and associated appurtenances within 300 feet of inland wetlands and watercourses.
So the applicant isn't here this. The applicant isn't here this evening. We are working under an extension, even though this is what application extension. Too concerning. I talked to the town attorney and I forwarded the message on to Mr. Bernardo. Essentially, because of the town's discontinuance of the right-of-way, it does look like there are three, according to Mr. Bernardo, there are three parties who are interested in the land, the state being one of them, Thomas Moran the other, and Mr. Hoagland of this parcel. So, with that, the town attorney said they wouldn't necessarily have to sign the actual application form, but they would provide an affidavit verifying that they're aware that the work is going to be conducted on a portion of the property that they have interest in. I suspect, though, that District 2 DOT is not going to issue that affidavit. I think that would come out of Newington, so this may take longer than they anticipate. That said, it's not impossible to actually accomplish. So we'll have to probably see where we are between now and the next meeting. We'll be coming up on 65-day extension time.
So that within,
Because this is,
we'd have to decide next meeting if by chance we cancel that meeting.
well, it's not automatically approved because it is a wetlands application.
Mhm.
There is an outstanding item, the application is technically incomplete.
Right.
You could make a decision and deny it. I think if you get to that point, though, we would probably just offer them the opportunity to withdraw it and resubmit. There is a section of the regulations that they can request a waiver of fee, given to this commission's discretion.
Okay.
So there are options for them to proceed forward in a more timely fashion. But I think in terms of the direction, they will just need to provide an affidavit from the state and Mr. Moran that
Mhm.
they can conduct this work on.
So we don't need to take any action on this tonight.
No.
However, if,
It'll just be tabled. That's all I have to report on it.
yeah,
Like I said, I just notified Mr. Bernardo today. I just got this information today as well. So it's timely.
if Kristen gets stuck in London for, 6 weeks or
Yeah.
something, should
Maybe
we,
I get kidnapped.
Don will have to take over the gavel.
Take notes.
Okay, all right, yep, got it.
okay, all right, good.
Can I just ask a question? If we're looking at this application within 300 feet of inland wetlands, that's within our purview.
Yes.
Yeah.
I guess the question would be is why do we want something within 300 feet that's a new construction that could cause issues with the adjoining waterway?
It's not a matter of whether or not why we would want development within 300 feet. It's the property owner has the right to develop a lot. So we regulate, we don't prohibit. the activity, we regulate the activities within the 300-foot upland review area. So it's not an area that's prohibited activity. We also regulate the activities that occur within the wetlands and water courses themselves. So per our regulations, I can issue as an agent for the commission permits for activities in the upland area only, whereas activities occurring in the stream, water course, or marsh, bog, or pond would have to be issued by this commission. That said, they're regulated, but not necessarily prohibited. The onus is on the applicant to demonstrate that their proposed activity is the least impactful to the water resource, such that it's the most feasible and prudent alternative as opposed to any other alternatives that they may have explored and presented to the agency or commission. So,
That's fine, that's fine. As a new member, I'm just kind of feeling things out a little bit, and you've helped me out on that. Appreciate it.
I don't know.
Welcome.
Was that was septic, wasn't it? That plan was a septic,
yes.
It was.
yeah.
Well accepted.
Yeah. Yeah.
That being said, I did talk to Mr. Bernardo. If you do look at the plan, you'll see that the parcel does have frontage on Gurley Road. They can come down the existing driveway and then branch off of that and cross the wetland and go up the hill, which would not be necessarily the most ideal because it's direct wetland impacts, which we would certainly frown upon unless we have no choice. But here we have another option, so I would hope that they can secure those affidavits and
Oh, I see. Okay.
we can
Mm-hmm.
permit that activity there versus
Yeah.
having them build
An
an entire new
impactful.
driveway through
Mhm.
the wetland.
There's no chance that he could get access through the cemetery.
That would require an easement from the town of East Lyme. Discussion with the board of selectmen, you can access through there. I'm sure if you have interest in that and
Welcome to our
how
house.
that-
Yeah, really.
You did not take a wrong turn.
It's a green Halloween
Right at the
site.
gravestone.
Yeah, I know.
It could be a discussion that's had. As it stands now, he doesn't have control of the cemetery, so short of the town turning down and offering easements, I don't know if he pursue it. And I don't know that he'd want his driveway access to go through the cemetery, probably for various reasons, most likely it's stigmatism. So,
Yeah.
Creepy? Yeah, it could be creepy. That's right.
Yeah, I mean, the access point now is pretty well established as it is.
yeah, it was clearly there
Yeah.
historically, but it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you come to a point where you can't get resolution to the existing
Yeah, and he wants to build a
site,
house.
and he wants to build
Yeah.
a bridge across the existing waterways,
No, right.
and we say, well, time out, here's a nice dry, high land access to your lot here, why don't we explore this, I think, at that point.
Yeah. So probably next meeting he'll be, hopefully have some more information,
yeah, I suspect that will.
because we'd have to make some kind of decision at that point.
Correct.
Okay.
I would think it would might be warranted to move on the application or see if they'll withdraw it.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending on what we're at.
Yeah.
Maybe
Okay.
we can continue to move forward.
That's the lot in question, no break to the side of it is a cemetery.
Yes.
Home watching.
Yeah, the one you can see off from that house.
Right.
Right away question.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bocek, joining us tonight, first time, that's the parcel.
Yeah, John, there's already a house below that, the one that they're planning to build, right there.
Here,
Okay, I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
this one over here,
Yeah.
is cemetery.
Okay, thank you.
But it is the headwaters of the Niantic River, so I mean, this
Yeah.
is,
Although coming up, I mean, you think about the access to the cemetery, it's been pretty well improved with the gas station.
yeah.
So there's a significant amount of driveway that wouldn't have to be constructed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
just a thought.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to old business. Our inland wetland watercourse regulations, review and discuss revisions of the proposed final draft regulations. Upon a consensus, call for a vote to schedule a public hearing to adopt them. We all have a clean copy. Nope, we have a red line copy.
Yes, I did that specifically
Oh,
It's
because
a
this is
clean
what's
red
gonna,
line copy. We have to
Okay.
be able to demonstrate what the changes were,
Mhm.
so that everyone can see them, and this is the easiest way. We did the subdivision reg changes, we did it the other way, and it became confusing, and Janet and I discussed what we felt was the best way to keep it clean.
Yeah, this looks good.
So, all the changes have been made, it has been proofread several times. Janet did find one more on page 10. Normal school, I guess. And she supports board is capable. Or, I don't know that. Aside from that, they've incorporated all the changes that the commission's asked for. I've went through and verified all the references to the state statutes that are totally correct. So you'll see the changes in there, as well as all the other references throughout the document to other sections
oh, right, yeah, those are all,
within the regulations themselves.
yep.
Is there anything in here regarding planting natives?
We have a definition of vegetative buffer, riparian buffer. Don't know if there's a specific might be in section 7 possibly.
Yeah, 7.7, the report should also describe the extent of presence of plant species commonly associated with swamps, bogs, and marshes. So maybe it doesn't specifically say native. Oh wait, no, that's talking about the biological evaluation. So Gary, are you thinking that we would take one more read through since it's a clean copy, and then then we would schedule a public hearing on it?
Yeah, I would say read through this if you're comfortable with it. We can move to schedule a public hearing. I would recommend that we, well, it's not statutorily required, but I would recommend refer it out to the various agencies, local boards and commissions, as well as the flooding municipalities.
And that would be as part of the public hearing?
Correct.
Okay, yep.
Again, it's not statutorily required, it's just a nice thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You never know where it might end.
So if there's
Yeah.
a section of remediation, I would think it would be.
Question for Gary. Is the open review area, is that still 300 feet?
It's
in
still
this?
300 feet. The agency asked me to update that from 100 to 300. Well, I had asked them to read this in the context of 100 feet.
Mm-hmm.
And that it provides a little more guidance in terms of the level of permitting that the agent can approve versus what has to come before the commission. My thought was that that might be more palatable to the agency and if it was to ever reduce that public review rate. If not, it is what it is, and we'll move forward. And you can consider somewhere in the middle, 150 feet could be a bit of a, let's say, a compromise. Let us see what we can
Yeah, and I think, I guess to that point, the effect of having 300 feet is really to capture these large subdivisions and
yeah, so I think
not subdivisions, but large development properties, not like the neighbor who lives 280 feet from a river and wants to put a shed in.
so.
So,
I think, yeah, and I think what I mean to do is we did have a gentleman who came in very determined he should use 200 literally 90 feet, 10 feet over. He had the room on his property. He would need a variance. So it was kind of between this interesting circumstance. And we rendered a decision that he would need a permit. So yes, technically he needs a permit, but on the other hand, there's no adverse impact.
yeah.
We can make that determination and say no permits required for that activity, even though it is within the upland review area. So I don't have that authority though under the regulations as they're currently written to make technically these determinations, yet I do frequently when I review building permit applications. That is technically a determination.
Yep.
So that might be just a section that we have to kind of look at. But with these, I think as it breaks the permit into a minor activity, that's all the agent can issue, is permits for minor activities. And I think with that, we could add a line in there that the agent can also determine whether or not that activity, because you have to make a determine whether or not it's a minor, intermediate, or significant activity anyway, based on how much material they're moving or its proximity to the water resource.
Have the fees changed?
Oh, yeah, they're much more.
No, the fees have not changed
Look,
with
260.
these changes. That will require a town change to the town ordinance. That said, with these changes and with the increase in the upland review area, it has been suggested or recommended that we modify our fees. Maybe on a sliding scale versus the way they're broken down, but it certainly generates sort of good revenue.
For a generator, $260.
When you, with the 300-foot up and review,
I mean,
it pretty much encompasses the entire project of any house. So where I might have to just permit a portion of the home or the deck or just a septic, well, now I'm getting the house, the driveway, everything, so it's that area of disturbance fee goes to like typically $750 every time. So I'm charging the max fee, which is on one hand is great. On the other hand, it's onerous and on the other. So it's kind of a little catch-22.
We haven't been, there's no litigation against this 300-foot thing yet?
Well, that litigation basically got thrown out of court.
I remember.
So it's done. We're at
Right.
300.
Okay.
That's the law.
Yeah,
So,
well,
and that's okay. It works. We can figure out a way through and make things easier. Maybe looking at decks, pools, and sheds that are beyond 100 feet, they really need additional permit. Whereas if the project's moving a couple hundred cubic yards of material, but they're beyond 200 to 100 feet, that might warrant more oversight, certainly. If it's on a slope of 20, 25%, certainly would warrant more oversight.
So this sliding scale pay fee structure, that conversation would happen outside of these regulations, correct? That would have to get
Yes.
separate approval.
Correct.
So we could outline that separate from.
We could, yeah, I would suggest that the agency, we come up with a proposed fee schedule and propose it to the board of selectmen, and they just hand it off, and that way we have something to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, I think that is a good follow-on task for us because we don't want to overtax people just putting a shed in. I mean, we want to make sure that this all makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make any sense. This is a lot of money here.
So you're typically it's about $210 for a apartment or a shed, $60 state fee, $9 application fee, $900 monitor.
Holy crap. That's just for the wetlands, it's not a regular building permit.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So we would potentially add maybe something to that, to the minor regulated activity, a statement. Because honestly, I don't think outside of 100 feet, a shed needs to be regulated or permitted from wetlands perspective.
Right.
Yeah, because we don't have anything written to say you
Yeah, I
can't.
know.
So,
You taking that money?
but at the same time, which will go into our discussion later, I think that when people are abutting water courses and wetlands and they get an administratively approved permit, they should be coming to us because it shows the importance of the property that they own and have them recognize, oh, okay, I do have a property I need to come to us about. They're going to do some work on it. You know, I mean, if there's no water on your property and you want to put a shed in, okay, that's fine. But if you are waterfront and you want to put a shed in, and it's impactful right there,
Right.
then yeah, I think they should come to us. but we can kind of dive into that. I don't know if we want to add some words to that in here too.
Yeah, that's where we have this, no activity shall be considered minor unless it occurs solely within the regulated area, exclusive of wetlands or others. Then it talks about septic installation, but minor is an activity that would result in no greater than a minimal impact on any water course. So I'm making a determination that the wetland could be 10 feet from where I want to locate a shed. And let's say it's where I'm at to the edge of the wetland, it's all lawn. When I issue a permit administratively, I look to try to get buffer plantings put in between the lawn and the shed. And if you want to still have lawn, well, give me 5 feet of planting, give me 10 feet. And usually it works pretty well as a trade-off in those discussions. It doesn't happen in every case, but and again, it's more like let's have a discussion, leverage you, suggest you do this versus not saying you have to.
Okay.
So Gary, where do you think as far as planting natives or, replacing trees that have been cut down, where would that fall under this?
Probably there's not short of section 7, which is the application requirements. So it's going to be a requirement of all applications that any plantings be native species. And that's
Well, would it fall under the definition of vegetative buffer?
Which section is
It's one of the definitions right at this,
that?
on page 9.
Yes and no. I mean, these are just defined.
It's
words.
undisturbed,
These aren't
yeah.
requirements. And the vegetative buffer could be vegetative, it could be invasive.
But I guess thinking if we're directing someone to,
Maybe section 6, regulated activities to be licensed, which is the section that requires a permit. It might be the appropriate place to say this is what we want for all applications. Is to put in 6.
So do you think a swamp maple is native?
It's
I don't know.
pretty much to the eastern United States.
Red.
Red maple? Oh, okay.
We could,
The silver maples are not.
we could,
And Norway maple, or no?
Actually, no, silver maples. Norway maple is not, definitely. The red maple is native.
let's see, we could add a definition.
Yeah.
I think, in the definitions, we could add native species.
But don't you have to mention it?
Well, and then we can refer to it in that, so that definition can refer to a list that somebody has in the Connecticut State.
Well, zoning has a requirement that natives have to be native, so whatever
yeah,
they.
do we know how they incorporate it, zoning?
Wait, what?
Where does zoning incorporate?
Yeah, where
their
That I don't
zone?
know, but I'm almost positive they voted it in. Do you know, Gary?
Oh, they recently adopted a regulation requiring native planting.
Do you know how they incorporated that?
I think it's just a site plan requirement.
A site plan, maybe. There is section 10.2, the criteria for a decision, measures which would mitigate the impact of any aspect of the proposed regulated activity. Mitigation measures, maybe we could say in there, something about natives. Because ultimately, if they're going to be planting something, it would be a mitigation effort, right? So maybe in there?
So where
Section
is that
G,
again?
10.
page 24.
Page.
Page 24.
I mean, it's fine with me. I just like
Yeah,
to
I don't know, I
have
was
it
just
in
trying
there.
to, yeah, I guess I'd have to read through everything, see where we could add that. All right, so I guess our homework then is to take one last look through, and then we'll discuss at the next meeting, and then hopefully move to public hearing and neighborly notifications. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just, if you want to add that section, maybe,
Yeah, yeah, I'll look into that. We'll,
What the zoning, what the way zoning has it? Yeah. you
yeah,
could-
and then where we could add it here. Okay. All right, so next would be the chairman's report, and I don't have anything. Inland Wetlands Agent Report, Administrative and Commission Issued Permits.
So, in your packet, is there the report? There should be a report.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in regards to the Upper Patagonia Road, I do have a plan for that project. Mr. Moran applied for single-family dwelling, which I issued a permit administratively for that. We cleared the area, as part of the plan to clear deadwood out of the south side of the shoulder and revegetate that. So I contacted, Don did reach out to me upon receiving his message. I contacted Mr. Moran. I said, I received a complaint. I said, we issued a permit. I said, it is the middle of April. I said, you can get the planting towards the end of May. And there's no E&S control. I've already reached out once to his contractor and requested E&S control be put up on the bank because there's nothing holding that slope other than they left the slash on the bank, which that was per my direction. So that said, I'm looking to have that bank vegetated by the end of May. Mr. Moran just indicated that he was apparently had reached out to me, but I didn't receive his correspondence. But he's moving forward with that point. So I'm more than happy. I don't have a copy of that plan with me this evening. I can certainly put it on stream. Like to the 5-year recess if you grab it.
What does clearing deadwood mean?
The trees that there were several large trees that were literally dead. They had dying, dead limbs, canker. So he could have let them fall, I suppose.
But I mean, he obviously cut everything.
He
didn't
cut.
just cut.
He cut the brush and I was thinking he was just going to get those trees.
Yeah. Were there healthy trees there?
The brush was that's so I do have, obviously you saw the picture that Don shared with you. I was out there Sunday myself, picture of the area.
Yeah, it's an eyesore. You can see it from Route 1 driving by.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Hard to see that.
You see it across the boat launch. You could see it all the way in the distance.
Wow. I don't know if that's wrong. Without going to the boat launch.
Yeah. Yeah.
From the boat launch, you can see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't.
My concern is that other neighbors are just going to cut down all their trees, and I mean, is he just going to plant brush down so it improves his view and his selling? Is it his property? He owns it?
He owns that strip. So I have there's a whole planting plan for that section. I'm more than happy to get it. I can't really speak to it off the top of my head. So, I can send it out by email. You'll all have to look at it. We can bring it up at the next meeting. If you want to wait a month, no action taken on it, I certainly can tell Mr. Moran that come to the meeting and explain his project. The agency, theoretically, I believe you could overturn this, which would be.
Well, no, I think your decision to remove the deadwood and his decision to completely clear cut the property are two different things.
Correct.
I mean, removing dead trees, that's a safety issue that I think we're all on board with that, but that's not what he did. So
He went beyond.
he went well beyond.
So-
And there's no controls to keep all of that dirt from flowing right into the lake.
There is now.
There wasn't at the time.
This afternoon when I went by, you put a hay wattle. I did ask him to put hay wattles at the toe of the slope. I don't think he understood exactly what I mean. He put them at the top of the slope. So,
The heck?
so well, the bank goes down, so you can't put them in the, I don't want to necessarily in the water, right? That's going to be tough. But and because, rather than, you're not going to tow in a silk fence and tuck it in. My thought was the hay wattle, I can hammer the stake in on an angle. I can stand in the water and do that. That would create enough silk barrier to at least establish vegetation. At least with what's there, he hasn't stumped anything. He hasn't removed
Yeah.
that material, because I told him not to stump it.
Did you put that in writing?
Yes, I believe, file with me, I believe that is part of the condition. I think he had it on his notes. They're going to do that. It's on the plan.
Is he planning on putting something there, building something, or is he just?
Revegetating the entire back.
So is there a view of the lake?
There will be now.
Well, it will be now. He's going to have a view, certainly. No different than the guy who bought the ice house and slowly cleared the lawn.
Ice house.
But he's kept the trees, he kept the shade, so I understand people have the right to enjoy the view and the lake at what cost. The other, as I was told some data, I don't know if it's correct, I only suspect maybe Don can speak to the data. I was told that the center of the lake is hypoxic.
Oh,
But I don't know if that, to me, I
makes
find it hard
sense.
to believe.
If you want, if I'm allowed to speak, I participate in Connecticut Lake Watch. I go out weekly and have done so for the last 4 years, from May through September. The lake is thermally stratified. It becomes thermally stratified in June. Gary's quite right. The lake maximum depth is perhaps 35 feet. Below about 15 feet for most of the summer, it's hypoxic to anoxia. Therefore, anything that requires oxygen, fish, plankton, aquatic insects, etc., are confined to the top 13 to 15 feet of the water column, and there's no oxygen below. And then this breaks down in the fall when we get cooling temperatures and high winds. The lake will overturn and become, the same temperature, and that's what happens. So that you have the water will be probably 50 in the low 50s, whereas the surface, of course, if you have it out there in the summertime, it can be in the low 80s. Yes, that's typical for most lakes, including all the ones in this. Well, perhaps not Powers, but certainly Dodge Pond and Rogers Lake. All these lakes become thermally stratified. Some of them will have some oxygen in the lower water that they can hold trout, but that against it doesn't.
So eliminating the trees, doesn't that help to increase the warmth of the water, the temperature?
Well, sure, because you have, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. The more trees you cut down, the warmer the water becomes, the more development. I mean, I also did 10 years of water quality sampling, as Gary knows, in the Latimer Brook and Atlantic River tributaries. And you go from the headwaters of Latimer Brook up in Montville and Salem down to the lower end in Flanders. The water becomes warmer, more acidic, and has more nutrients. This is all from development. Look at some of these old maps of the town in the 50s. Go up Chesterfield roads. There's hardly any housing except on the road. Now it's everywhere.
We have good data out there that just indicates that when you increase the impervious surface, 10% within watershed, right, there's a direct correlation to the degradation of water quality. That's probably what we're seeing here.
Well, it also increases with the warmth of the water, algae and is it milfoil and all sorts of invasives in the water.
Right. Which we're dealing with. Patagonia Lake Association is dealing with invasives now.
Is the site stable there?
So based on my observations right now, we need to move the pavement model down
Yeah.
the slope. But with the slash that's out there, I believe it is. I'll go back out there tomorrow, take another look. I didn't see much material this weekend running off into there. But I think the pictures need to vegetate that sooner than later, and we'd like to get the trees in there because they're going to provide Jake.
Are trees part of his plan?
Yes, yes.
So he's going to replant trees.
There's 3 or 4 maybe on it.
Okay.
So would we be in a good position to have them come in and make sure that there are trees planted?
Either way, I'm going to make sure there's trees.
Why don't you,
Yeah.
if you would you, I'd be interested to see it. Would you send the plan out electronically to us so we can review it for the next meeting? And all the lakes can get stratified. Even the ocean gets thermally stratified when there's no crazy winds.
Of course.
But they don't all go hypoxic. So is the hypoxia because of excess organic material in the bottom of the lake?
Yes. It's bacterial decomposition
Mhm.
of organic matter
Leaves.
until the aerobic bacteria, then they disappear, and all you have is anaerobic bacteria down
Mhm.
there that can survive without oxygen. They're better off without oxygen. That's what happens. And this is
Yeah, I mean, the
every
only,
lake stratifies.
yeah,
It's
the
just
only,
that-
the only fix for that is to keep the organic material out of the lake, and that's virtually impossible to do.
Yeah.
This Patagonia Lake is a late mesotrophic lake. The eutrophic lake has a lot of organic matter, and they would definitely be no oxygen below. And you have the ligotrophic lake. I'm not sure which ones are around, maybe like Long Pond. It will have oxygen below because it's not as much organic matter, and it's not as much productivity.
Yeah.
Fungus pond.
So do you have a plan for the lake? I mean, are you using chemicals or are you not hay raking, but do you have a lot of Phragmites or cattails in the lake?
Our plan,
To get rid
well, no, not really. Our problem we have with the lake is the invasive variable leaf water milfoil. We also have problems in coves where a lot of people live and like to use the waterways with water shield and water lilies. We have a permit that came before this commission with Connecticut Deep, a 3-year permit to use a aquatic herbicide called Procellacor for the milfoil. It worked great last year. We applied for a Connecticut Deep aquatic invasive species grant to continue that work. Unfortunately, we did not receive a grant. So we're going to have to once again raise all the money ourselves to continue Procellacor, which did a great job in eliminating milfoil. It also cropped on a lot of the water lilies and water shield, but they're coming back. But we're going to try him again this year. Now there are trade-offs with that because now you'll have fewer aquatic plants to draw the nutrients. We may see increases in phytoplankton and algae. I was out there today for the first time I've seen floating mats, small clumps of algae, which might be cyanobacteria, blue-green algae. First time I've ever seen it today. It might be just a consequence of having more nutrients available. We'll see what happens.
What's the name of the company that you're working with that's doing the spraying? The name of the company that you're working with?
That's doing the aquatic treatments.
Yeah.
Pond and Lake, I think they're called. I can give you the permit.
So this property might, ultimate concern is the disregard really for what they were permitted for. Whether ill-intentioned or not, they are unaware of the impact that their activities have. So what would you propose that we,
Well, I proposed to the landowner that you plant the area for within a month, so that's my goal, is really just treat it like enforcement action and say,
so if they don't do that by the end of the month, you could have them come to the next meeting?
I'm gonna recommend they do and say, well, now you can explain to them why you didn't plant within the growing season.
Right.
You're gonna plant in the middle of the summer.
And why'd you clear so early if you weren't gonna plant?
Yeah, there was no need to clear it until you were ready to
Right.
vegetate it.
Right.
And
And also they cleared it without you knowing fully, because otherwise you would have implemented some ENS controls.
I told them to call me when they put the ENS controls in, for the permit 2 days prior.
And they didn't do that.
They said, hey, we're gonna start work, and I didn't get a call from the inspector, so although the silt fence that they did install on the other side of the road is holding up just fine. It doesn't install properly. What I was verbally told that they weren't going to park. I said, you're gonna need to park vehicles over there, because I can see that happen, right? Because you got the slope, you don't want them to be in the way while you're working around the foundation. No, we don't have to park vehicles. Perfect, so plant it, right? So I was thinking this is something that we can take advantage of and get the vegetation in there. So I'm still thinking there's opportunity this growing season to have it vegetated. There's no other reason, I can't see why they wouldn't.
Yeah, right.
That way it's done, they're not working on that side of the road beyond the plantings. So, no other
It's across the
activity.
road.
Right. So, to me, there's no reason why they can't finish
Yeah. Yeah.
that. So, that's really what I'm pushing for, and that was my last conversation with this.
Okay.
It's to vegetate the other parts. Yes, I'll get the final determination.
Okay. And so I guess that was kind of why I brought up earlier, these applications that are potentially directly impactful to a water course. I think just having the resident come to us to have that discussion raises awareness of, hey, we exist, you have to be careful, you own a property that's sensitive, versus them just kind of thinking they can do what they want without repercussion. Where's that line of notifying them so that they're aware? Would that have made a difference here? I don't know. Again, I can't speak if it was ill-intentioned or not, or unawareness.
My guess is because Mr. Moran is not a contractor, he's just a guy who built the house. He's GCing the project himself. He hired a contractor and he didn't watch the contractor. He said, I just need to.
Okay.
I bet you there was a breakdown in communications to what really had to be adhered to versus thinking, okay, he can do the plan. Well, not all contractors can do the plan either. So my guess is that's maybe a hallucination, but either way, let's get it vegetated. And then in terms of moving forward, I look at the proposed reg, that minor as a definition that I read. I would have to look, if we use this project as an example, I would have to say this is, I have to interpret this project as being relatively minor with the exception of the clear adjacent to the pond. So even when I issued this permit, I even sat there and had this conversation with myself. I said, that's awfully close. And am I going to get this revegetated the way I want it so that we have a better condition to get rid of the invasives that are there? And that was the goal. That was my intent. So
Right.
well intended.
Right.
At least from my perspective, should I be issuing that permit? That's the next question. Is that clearing have the potential to impact the water resources? It certainly does, but it's adjacent to it.
Yeah.
And it's the amount of area.
It is a pretty significant area.
Yeah.
So, I would think under the proposed regs, I would say this is nominal, no more than a nominal amount. So I would say this is no more than nominal. Nominal would be, I'm just gonna take down one tree.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, and I guess, so we didn't have this breakdown of minor, significant in the regulations as of yet, so.
Correct. Right, that's why I'm thinking the regs as they're being proposed may help alleviate some of this issue.
Yeah.
Whereas I would kick this off to commission versus trying to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My guess would have been that they would have come back and said, okay, we'll take this work off the table. Come to the commission later.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
Moving on.
Yeah, I'm good, as long as I listen.
14, Park Lane, we did get some correspondence back. Working Park Lane, yes, I spoke to Mr. Kowalski. I put him in touch with Mr. Mulholland. He's going to need a CAM application, and I think that's how this is going to be handled.
Okay.
As our jurisdiction
It's kind of what we were thinking from the start.
is a bit far, but
Mhm.
Bill is now on top of this, so he'll be working with him. I did have a nice conversation with him and advised him that he'll probably need to get a hold of Amtrak, which is near impossible to do. What he wants to do, he wants to create access from salt to the water. And so Amtrak owns the land, so you're going to need to deal with them.
Good luck.
I don't know. And on top of a CAM application. So he's pointed in the right direction.
Okay, so we can probably remove this one. Yep, okay.
Zoning will take that.
Okay.
Eight Brookfield, no change on that. I have not heard from either the landowner or the engineer, other than the last meeting I reported the engineer was waiting on a footprint design from the landowner.
And because you had mentioned that you were going to reach out to say, well, if you don't do anything, then you need
Yes.
to start replanting.
And I advised the engineer of that
Okay.
after our last conversation. So based on this meeting, no progress having been made in terms of
Yeah.
application or anything moving forward. My next thought was we could reach out to them and say, why don't you start with the engineer and file an application for it.
It's been many months.
Lot never gets built, we decide to build it, at least get the camping back.
Right.
9 Rocco Drive, I don't know that we came to any consensus on that, other than the slope. I noted that the slope was stable. Again, now, this was the slope had a row of pines on it, so I don't know that they provided much tree canopy and cover to the lake, the pond.
Well, I'm sorry, was this the one where they did revegetate, but the neighbor was complaining that it was not they wanted taller trees?
They, no, they just, it's meadow, it's like a meadow grass down to the pond. So there was a row of pine trees, I guess, that blocked the view. They cut it down to a meadow grass. The issue here is that they don't own the land.
But this is kind of outside of our purview, right, as far as wetlands?
It's adjacent to the pond. I'll bring it up on the map. So this is 9 Rocco Drive. In red. And you can see here's area in red is what he owns. He cleared all of this area here along the shoreline. So all of this vegetation is there.
And those are a mix of trees and,
Pines, primarily conifers, and a shrub mix along the edge of the pond. I'm not sure if I have to go down, probably like a plethora or something, who knows. But nonetheless, this vegetation is now a meadow. So while he doesn't own the land, Mr. Kozoliev picked up this portion over here and owns the bulk of the lake. Mr. Ray came to me and indicated he was having some property line disputes here and identified, hey, clear all this land, I just need to break it. So I think at a minimum, I may recommend that we continue maybe moving forward here and say, hey, yeah, perhaps some camp or something. So I just wanted to get some clarification towards on that. And I'll reach out to Mr. Wagner and let him know that, hey, you have to come up with a revegetation plan beyond just stabilizing some lawn.
yeah, I mean, isn't there a legal issue? If it's not his land and he cleared it, he didn't have permission to clear it, so legally, it should be brought back to what it was as best as possible.
Well, it depends on who the landowner is, whether they care or not, I guess.
So when he cleared it, I believe it was held by by Molly LLC, whatever they are. I think he cleared it, they didn't do anything to go after it or notify our office. I found out about it from Mr. Way, who was concerned about clearing over the property line, not to his property back in here. I've spoken briefly to Mr. Mazzalia, who's just kind of waiting patiently with his days. So, while he is the landowner, he's purchased the violation. I do know Mr. Van Wagner did. So, I think working with Mr. Mazzalia, I can probably get Mr. Van Wagner to at least get permission to plant trees.
Mhm.
I'm sure that's not a problem.
Yeah.
So I'll work to get that revegetated, at least with some trees. I mean, you look at the density here, this is like 10-foot tree every 8 to 10 feet on center. It's staggered. That's a lot of trees.
Had he cleared them all?
Pardon?
Those are all cleared?
I don't know if I can access the photos. Yeah, it's, you know, you put the house up where the 9 is, right here, he has a nice backyard. It's maybe from like here to here is clear. There's a few trees over in this area. But probably from right about here,
Mm-hmm.
right about there is all here.
So his revegetation plan, would that be something that you would just work with him on, or is that something that he would propose?
I would work with him on and recommend he put together and move forward on.
Yeah.
Because failure to do so will result in enforcement action.
Mm-hmm.
Which means that we can follow potentially a fine, citation.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think he wants to get.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I would never think twice about clearing that soon as well. If I was a landowner, I might take a gun and sit there and say, bring it.
I apologize,
No,
I
I do
had
know.
1992 Allwood, I actually got correspondence back from them. sufficient. The issue that we have is that, well, it's not sufficient because water's still leaving out onto the road. So we have to somehow address that and get it back into the channel that it belongs so that we can alleviate any potential icing issue, at least for the road, and then the swale that was filled in.
Yeah, okay.
I think an engineer should probably take a closer look at it, and that's what our town engineer recommended.
Okay.
Working with them to get that worked out. So when you run into a snag, you can always apply that pressure.
Okay.
Little Indian Pond, I have no update on. I have not heard anything as of late. So now there's the status of it. Whether or not the neighbors, I think they did apply for some permits. I'm not sure if they were successful.
Before we move on to correspondence, what about the Costco Hill? No, it's not Costco, the property behind
I'm
Costco.
still working on that. I have not heard back from anyone yet.
Did they receive
I
the,
have not gotten the green card back, so technically it's still out in Maryland. I went into the management company. I've gotten email correspondence from a guy right here, which he's going to try to take over to someone at the corporate level. So this needs to get fixed as quickly
Yeah.
as possible.
Yeah.
It's just eroding, and I said, you've got a drainage pipe that's now exposed as a result, so I'm sure you're going to want to fix that so that you don't have bigger problems in your roadway.
mm-hmm.
So they just, like, they didn't know them. They're the sales agents.
Yeah,
So they
right.
would understand the significance. But, so hopefully through the gentleman, her manager, we'll get some.
Okay.
In terms of correspondence, I did want to bring to your attention that I put together a memorandum to the Board of Selectmen and the Natural Resources Commission regarding trail maintenance at Darrell Pond and some of the issues that we've been having out there. Long and short of it is that all-terrain vehicle use, ATVs, are really destroying the hiking trail and basically exacerbates erosion, accelerates it. So there's a cost to the town to maintain the trail, repair the trail, and then there's a cost to where things you grow to, usually the wetland or the water courses. So obviously there is some impacts that are occurring as a result of this erosion.
How many ATVs do you think are back here? They're making a mess of it.
Lots. With COVID, ATVs were not there.
Geez, Bluff Point got different.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
With the fountain bikes.
Are they there legally?
no. So the number, and we've had a number of incidences of vandalism. Mr. Carlson, Art Carlson, most of you may know, he purchased some signs himself to put up there that were more, a picture of an ATV. This is what it does, and hopefully trying to educate the public as to why we don't want them on the hiking trail, in hopes of, seeing less vehicles. Unfortunately, what we saw was those signs get vandalized, removed, and torched. So, along with the kiosks that we have installed, and trail maps listing, and so forth. So, what we're doing to move forward is we're purchasing some trail cams.
I was just gonna say, can you put a camera up?
Yeah, we met with Deep.
Where is this
I
trail?
tried to be nice.
So between the Ancon Police, Town
Yeah.
Police,
Yeah.
I think that's the best we're going to do.
So if it's an ATV, most likely it's local. Can you do like a flyer for the local neighbors and stick in their mailbox? Just a reminder.
Good.
I don't know,
if that's
just-
effective or not.
I don't know either, but
Shouldn't the police be up in that area occasionally?
Yeah, they patrol. So essentially between the two of them, one will police the forest and one will police the local roads. Hopefully
Yeah, okay.
they can track somebody down and at least verify that their machine is registered. Obviously, there's a Darrow Pond, all-terrain vehicles are not permissible, as well as in the state park.
Mhm.
So they can go on that portion of the road, even Ross and Hill and Holmes Road, because that is technically a town road.
No.
So if the vehicle's registered, they could drive up and down there. And my understanding is that there's another location, Connecticut, it's got 50 miles of trail that we can fly. But that's only one location besides Holmes Road. That portion, I don't know what that was called, in that name. So, that said, these people are just riding. I am suggesting that we try to accommodate the use. It's not going to go away.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's how do we accommodate the use with the least amount of impact to the environment, the neighborhoods, and the noise that comes with it. So it's a bit of a problem that way. I think we can get the erosion under control. You know, it would be great if we could put a trail parallel to the Goodman Trail. The problem we have there, though, are easements that prohibit altering vehicles. And just like easements that we've seen that prohibit, you know, actual forestry from land because it says you have to preserve it in perpetuity as is. So to me, that's not very forward thinking.
Is that, so when we deem properties to have open space, would that allow for the use of ATVs?
Technically, no.
Because they want to preserve it, right, as is?
We usually require the conservation easement to be preserved as is.
Yeah.
Now, if you wrote in there that all-terrain vehicle use would be a permissible use on the site, provided it contained all the permits or whatever it needed, it could be a recreational use that's permissible within the conservation easement, beyond fishing, hiking, the low impact uses.
Right.
Recreational uses, kind of as we have in our section of our regs.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's hundreds of acres of parcels. Can we give them a little bit of use somewhere? But
And it's not to say the problem doesn't exist in other states either.
Right.
But I do think other states do manage the problem, or can handle the problem better. So I think we should kind of start looking to those states, particularly Maine,
Yeah.
large population,
Mhm.
riders, both snowmobiles and all-terrain vehicles. So I think we can see what they do and maybe apply it here. But again, moving forward, some of these easements that we have in place will prohibit the very thing that might help us. So, and I don't know that we can undo easements necessarily.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So, just a quick question. Are the ATVs, are the hikers in danger of being hit by the ATVs? Like, is there?
If that exists, certainly I can speak to my own personal experience with my family being out there and having bikes come up behind you. So yeah, you can hear them, and surprisingly, they get loud fast. And you turn around, you're literally jumping off the trail because they're coming up on you quickly, and you're like, ooh, you know.
And it's unexpected because they're not supposed to be there.
That and your pets, you have a dog,
Yeah, they
freaks
could take
out.
off. Yeah.
So it can be a significant distraction.
Well, I'm just concerned about the danger, you know, if somebody gets hit.
True
Yes.
liability?
That's the biggest.
Mhm.
So that's another reason I think we don't permit them out of their run for liability issue. And while it's, you know, you go out there hiking, you hike at your own risk. And I hate to say it, but people, if they got hurt, I don't know why.
If they're out there by themselves,
eventually.
yeah.
Or you need to maintain the trail. Well, you pass at your own risk.
Yeah. And you're going to get a lot more hurt on an ATV than you are hiking.
So while they probably won't win in that case, it's just we have to go through the motions and the headache and expense of it.
Yeah. Mhm. Hmm.
But nonetheless, the issue exists. We're taking some action here and moving forward, and keep working at it to reduce it.
and then this letter is no longer
The letter
applicable.
is no longer applicable, that's specifically because you have the determination of Mohawk Drive, I suppose that would be applicable.
Okay. All right. Anybody have anything else? Or on that note, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
I second.
All those in favor?
Right.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.